introduce some of the people we're going to hear from tonight, sharing their wisdom and their tools for transformation. And we're going to start off with Bruce Lipton. I am so grateful. Bruce, welcome to the Awakening World.
I am so excited to be here with you and with Ken. Just to let you know that obviously a lot is going on in the world, and a lot of people think it's just like chaos. And I say it is chaos because chaos is not random. Something is going on here. And chaos means there's an underneath program that a lot of people can't see. And hopefully we'll share some information about what is actually going on. And everyone's looking at it all coming down and the world's crazy. And I'm going, it's a wonderful start for a new world that we're making.
You know, birth is messy. Labor pains are uncomfortable. And when that baby comes out, there's blood and all sorts of stuff going on, right?
Yeah, but boy, the future is so bright. I tell you, it's just everyone's so caught up in the fear, not recognizing, no, if it wasn't breaking down, we'd have a real problem.
That's right.
And that breaking down is necessary because obviously we're not a sustainable civilization, and we're precipitating what is called the sixth mass extinction of life on this planet. Which means 5 previous mass extinctions have gone here, and up to 90% of life got wiped out on each one. The last one was when the dinosaurs were here and a comet hit near the Yucatan Peninsula, wiped out 75% of life, including all the dinosaurs. And today we're in the 6th mass extinction, and science has been telling us for 15 years, and not many people paying attention, human behavior is causing this mass extinction. And that if you understand this, then guess what? We can change human behavior and instead of just surviving, actually thrive into the future. And I'd like to talk about that tonight when we get a chance.
Fantastic. Bruce, I love the Spontaneous Evolution book that you wrote with our good friend Swami. Swami, of course, is a regular on our shows. But you also wrote The Biology of Beliefs. And I'd love to ask you to go a little bit. Of course, ultimately, I encourage everyone to read The Biology of Belief, The Honeymoon Effect. I've got all of his books, and they're all so good. But what's a first step we can take to changing our belief system so we can, like Kimberly talks about, go into another dimension, move out of the reptile brain fear state and into more presence? What are some tools or steps, Bruce?
Well, I think the most important thing we really have to look at right now, Scott, is that, as we mentioned earlier, there's an evolutionary upheaval happening, a necessary one, because we've, as a human population, have precipitated what is called that sixth mass extinction, which of course includes us. Even NASA scientists have pooled so much data together, and they have come with a very profound statement. NASA says that industrial civilization, the one we're in, is facing, and I want to emphasize, an irreversible collapse within the next couple of decades. And the 2 main things they cited, one is, of course, our uses of resources and how we're polluting the planet. And one of the other interesting aspects behind it is the distribution of wealth is so crazy, where 1%'s got all the wealth and 99% are struggling to keep ourselves here. This is what NASA said is going to precipitate these changes. Well, the significance about all this is knowledge is power. Yes, knowledge is power. But let me say it in another way. A lack of knowledge is a lack of power. And this is more important because it's what we don't know that has, created and precipitated the experiences we have on this planet right now. And there are 2 fundamental things that have to come in here for people to recognize the reality of 2 things. Number one, we have all been programmed to believe that genes control us. The idea of genetic determinism, the genes you inherit, are sort of like a blueprint to talk about, what your future is all about. And I go, no, this is completely false, 100% false, because the new science is called epigenetics, and epi means above, so it's above genetics. Consciousness is responsible for creating our genetics and our life experiences. As a matter of fact, very important fact, Less than 1% of disease is even connected to genetics. 90% or more of disease is all about lifestyle and our belief systems. And I want to, say to Trish and Dawn how important their work is for this reason. For us to move into the future, one of the things we have to recognize is that, and this is data that I've collected because we do belief change workshops. And we ask people to test one of the first beliefs. And this is Trish and Dawn's ballywick right here. The first belief we ask them is, I love myself. 80 to 90% of every population will not test positive for I love myself. And I say, so why is that? Well, if you can't love yourself, then here's a real important point. How can anybody else love you? Well, that's the problem. People are searching for love. 50% of marriages all fall apart. Why? We don't know how to relate on this level. And I'll tell you why. It's simply this, is that the Jesuits have told us for 400 years, the Jesuits have said, give me a child until it is 7 and I will show you the man. Nobody really understood what they were saying, but everybody go, oh yeah, that sounds great. And I go, no, you don't understand. They knew what we now know in science, is that the first 7 years of a child's life is programming. And I go, what do you mean? Why programming? I go, well, the brain is a computer. Yes. It boots up in the last trimester of pregnancy. The screen lights up. The brain is gone. And I say, but just like when you buy a brand new computer, I say, well, hey, you got a new computer, and you push start and it boots up. And I say, well, do something. And then you realize, no, I can't until I put programs into the machine. And when I put the programs in, then I could use the computer. So a child, first 7 years of a child's life, a state of brain, the brain state, when you put wires on their head, electroencephalograph, is a lower frequency than consciousness. It's called theta. Theta is hypnosis. I say, yes, why? And I say, because a child needs to learn thousands of rules to be a functional member of a family and a functional member of a community. I said, well, how are you going to teach that child? I go, nature took care of it. First 7 years, hypnosis. The kids watch and download the parents, the siblings, and the community's behavior like a video recorder. So the programs in our lives didn't even come from us. We copied them from other people. And the problem is this, well, if the people we copy them from are living a great life, then congratulations, you got a good copy. But almost everybody is having problems. 60% of the programs that we got in that 7-year period are disempowering, self-sabotaging, limiting. And I say, what's the relevance? And the answer is this. Well, you say, okay, subconscious got the programs. Conscious is the creator one. And I go, that's great, except for a fact that is, if you don't hear it, then you're lost. And I say, what is it? The fact is this: the conscious mind can think. I go, so what? And I go, when you're paying attention and being conscious, you're looking out the window and seeing the world and maneuvering in it. Okay. But when the conscious mind is thinking, this is the most important point. When the conscious mind is thinking, it's not looking out, thoughts are looking in. So the point about it is, when you are having a thought, the conscious mind lets go of the control and the subconscious is autopilot. And I said, what does that mean? I said, well, 95% of the day of every one of us, we are thinking. And I go, so what? And I go, well, if we're in the conscious mind, we're creative. But when we're thinking, we're playing the programs in the subconscious mind, which came from others with all those defects in it. And we don't see these programs because subconscious is autopilot. I go, what does that mean? I said, well, you have a friend, you know your friend's behavior very well, and you know your friend's parent. And then you get all excited. You go, oh, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. I said, back away from Bill. I know the first thing Bill's going to say, he's going to say, how can you compare me to my dad? I'm nothing like my dad. And the audience laughs. And I go, that's the most profound story in the world. I say, why? Everybody else can see that Bill behaves like his dad. Who's the one that doesn't see it? Bill. You ready for this? We are all Bill. Every one of us got programmed And every day, 95% of our programs are playing while our conscious mind is busy. And we're like, Bill, because we don't see our own behavior. And then you recognize 60% of those programs are disempowering. I go, guess what? All day long, you're shooting yourself in the foot invisibly because you're not observing the automatic behavior you're playing 95% of the day. The reason why this becomes important is if you recognize this, that is the first step to gain empowerment. And here, very quickly, I know I'm taking a lot of time, but I'll get quick and short here. And
No, you're doing great, Bruce. This is great.
that the movie The Matrix is not science fiction. The movie The Matrix is a documentary. And I say, what do you mean? I say, everybody's been programmed. That's what we just talked about. Every human has been programmed for the first 7 years of their life. But I love it because in the movie, they have you take the red pill or the blue pill. I go, what's the difference? Well, you take the blue pill and life is just the way it is every day. And then I say, but what happens when you take the red pill? And they say, you get out of the program. And I said, well, what happens if you take the red pill? And here's the beautiful part. So dearest Trish and Dawn and Kimberly and Scott, I know you know all this stuff, and Tangela, all of you are talking about the same thing. I say, what happens when you get out of the program? And the answer is science has recognized this. When you fall in love, it is the same as taking the red pill. Why? You stop thinking, you stay present, and then you become creator with your conscious mind. And what do you think you call that? The honeymoon. I go, the honeymoon, what's that? I go, heaven on earth. And I go, wow, does that just exist sometimes? I say, it's always there. The problem is that we're not playing our conscious wishes and desires, we're playing our programs. And this is the wake-up call. One of the things that we'll talk about, and I just want to add later, we'll add some more, but this is a good one, because what it says is this. A, we've been programmed. B, most of those programs are disempowering, self-sabotaging, and that we're manifesting a life that's not exactly the life that we want. And I got to close it with this. To my perception, and I can go into it, quantum physics is the most valid science on planet Earth. And I say, so what's the relevance here? And the answer, you ready? Principle number one, quantum physics recognizes that consciousness is creating our life experiences. That is principle number one, the most valid science that exists. And then I leave off with this. So how's that working for you? How's that working? You're creating, are you manifesting heaven on earth? Well, if you stay in love, that's a good way of doing it. And as I emphasize, most people, 80, 95% of the people, they don't love themselves. So guess what? It's a bad creation when you can't love yourself. And this is an opportunity. And Ken Kaufman's program is a profoundly wonderful opportunity. Why? All of the programs at the new expo are programs of self-empowerment. And this is what we need in a world that looks crazy because we haven't been empowered. But if you like honeymoons and you like heaven on earth and love, well, then you have to go to the expo because there's going to be so many presenters all talking about getting your power back because we are creators, and that is a scientific fact. And so I'll stay this calm until you let me come back on and jump in again. Thank you.
Bruce, we love you.
You're amazing.
Come teach on the Self-Love Show, please.
Come be on the show, please.
Well, all of the speakers that we even have here tonight are all involved with what? Yes. Manifesting a heaven on earth honeymoon life experience, and it's available all the time. That's the cool part. It comes because you fall in love, but then consciousness starts to thinking, and then all of a sudden you're back in the program, and the honeymoon disappears. I go, it's not that it's not there. It's just that we're not playing the love programs that we desire. And I'll leave that for Trish and Dawn. Let them talk to you about that. I'll just sit back and wait.
Bruce, this is exactly why I do decolonization work. This is why I'm deepening the understanding of how we got here. like how did we get to looking at our bodies in the way we do, and like where did we learn the judgments? Where did my parents learn the judgments? Where did your parents learn it? And it just following it back is giving me the opportunity, for me personally and my clients, is the opportunity to be like, oh, I don't have to carry that anymore. And they're taking the red pill, and
Yes.
they're choosing not to perpetuate this system anymore. It's so fun.
It is.
It is. And I'll just close with the fact that, as Scott mentioned, one of the books I wrote is called The Honeymoon Effect. And I said, look, we all had programming. My programming, watching my mother and father that I got for those first 7 years, I couldn't get a relationship off the ground for over 40 years. Why? Those were bad programs, disempowering, self-sabotaging. And then once I started to understand this, then here's the greatest aspect. You can rewrite the programs. And when you rewrite the programs, you can put in the ones you want, not the ones you were given by other people. And I can attest to this. For a guy who couldn't get a relationship off the ground, I have been celebrating a honeymoon 25 years in a row. And the reason is simply this: rewriting any of those programs that sabotage you.
Yes.
And when they're all gone, then guess what? Then you're the creator without sabotage.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, I love this planet. Thank you, Ken, for letting me come to the show, because people don't realize, and I keep talking, I'm going to say the last thing. I always go last slide. There's no last slide. I got a million of them. But the last thing is basically that a lot of people think that, oh, you live a very nice life and then you die and you can go to heaven. I will suggest something totally different. You are born into heaven.
Yes.
This is where we came to create. We are creators. If you don't like the creation, check the program.
All right. So a reminder that there are wonderful ways to get more Bruce Lipton. Of course, go to San Mateo, May 6th through 8th for the New Living Expo. That's the best way. But you can also go to his website, and it's his name, brucelipton.com. And all three of these books are fantastic. I've got all three. I should go get them, and I'll show you. I've got them. They're fantastic. I really like the one he wrote with Steve Berman. And those of you who are Global Peace Tribers, you've seen Steve, also known as Swami Byandananda. He's a regular on the show. And, I love how much you bring a lot of joy into science. You're like the happy scientist, right?
Well, I'll tell you, I've learned that it is heaven. I really have. And as a creator, I have manifested. Look, doesn't mean everything I want worked out, but guess what? When it doesn't work out, I also recognize maybe there's a reason why. And that nature, when I pushed on nature saying, I'm going to make it work, and I pushed and I got to what I wanted. And then when I got there, I go, well, it's not exactly what I wanted. And the universe was telling me all along, but I was going to make it work. And that's the problem, because some of us get so frustrated. We don't understand. The universe is always here to help us.
Yeah.
And if we close off, which we've done, then we've isolated ourselves, separated ourselves from each other, separated ourselves from nature. And the result is what is now the sixth mass extinction. We have done this, and there's a time for us to come back. And Ken's program in San Mateo is an exciting opportunity. Knowledge is power, and there's going to be so much knowledge there, self-power, self-knowledge, that will help us move into the future. So I'm excited.
Actually, Bruce, I've got a specific question that's come up. People are asking, last weekend our whole show was on Earth Day, and we had probably a lot of people like Dwayne Elgin telling us the same thing you've been talking about. It's hard news, that the oceans are going to be empty in 20 years, and only 10% of the fish are even left. So people are asking very specifically, how do we manage how do we deal with things like the war in Europe or climate change?
Well, one of the most important things is to recognize that we are creating, and that the creation is independent. I mean, I'm in the middle of all these things as well. Everybody is, the war, the pandemic, the economic upheaval, all this stuff. The question is, you want to be a participant in that, or as Buckminster Fuller would tell us, look, why don't you go outside and build another world out here? And this is the biggest issue, is to let go of this structure. It's failing for a reason, and to start to join in. But look, we've had so many talks from people right here with their organizations. It's time to move out of the standard world things that we've been doing and start moving into another world. We can't solve the problems inside that box. And it's time for us to recognize as Buckminster Fuller said, the only way to solve it is to build something new outside the box. And this is what, Ken is bringing together in the Expo story, is basically, how do we live outside of this box? And it turns out we live pretty darn good if you can get out of there, because then you become that creator person. I can't wait for the Expo to really go into it. If I could just in 1 minute, because I want to tell everybody everything, it's basically this. We are living programs 95% of the day. Unfortunately, you can't tell me what your programs are, because they were already being programmed in the last trimester of pregnancy, even before you were born. You were programmed a whole year from 0 to 1. You were programmed another whole year from 1 to 2, and from 2 to 3. And I say, so tell me what the programs are. And the reality is, I don't know, but my life is manifesting them without me knowing I'm participating. That's why we feel we're victims. We have great wishes and desires, and then we have trouble manifesting them. And then we actually look outside and say, oh, that person's a problem, that thing's a problem, without even knowing we were creating these problems all day. And so you need to know the program. So I'll just very quickly, hopefully, just tell you, look at your life right now, and here's 2 things. One, the things you like and love that come into your life, well, they come in because you have a program to acknowledge them. But the things you work hard at, stress over, put a lot of effort into it, I'm sweating over, I'm working, I'm making it happen. Why are you working so hard? And the answer is, that destination is not covered by your program. And that's it. Don't fight the world, rewrite the program. And then all of a sudden, you're not the victim anymore. You become the creator, and this is our mission. And I'm so excited to be in this community, because the way out of this problem is to re-empower ourselves, because we have been disempowered for hundreds of years, and now it's time to take it back. And I want to thank you all for letting me yap on this talk thing, because I'm so excited to let people know how powerful you really are, and you don't even know it. That's so exciting.
Oh, Bruce, thank you so much. You are an inspiration. You're fabulous, fabulous.